Hi, I'm Adam and welcome back to First Man Photography, where you join me in a very wet Yorkshire wood. But the theme of today's video has come about because I've had a frustrating summer, very frustrating, and I've found my landscape photography to be very difficult, and I'm going to put that right today by just getting out in the worst weather that I've had for quite some time and not worrying too much about making a great photograph, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the pressure of going out and trying to make good photography. So this video is just going to be essentially you coming along with me to see what we can do on a day with absolutely no expectation. On a little adventure, hopefully we can explore and come across something interesting that will make a nice photo. So please do come with me. Before we get going today though, this video is sponsored by Lexar. If you need fast, reliable and high quality SD cards, look no further than Lexar. Right, I've stopped in this little clearing. I found this truly stunning little scene. I was attracted to that big tree there. As I walked into this little clearing, I could see it was arching over, but it's actually arching over that algae covered pond, which I think creates, or I'm feeling, a really kind of beautiful, almost fantasy feel to the moment. It feels like any minute a fantasy creature could jump out and surprise me. And that's kind of the thing I want to recreate in the photograph that I'm gonna take. There's a few challenges, the main one being the light on the pond itself, because that's very bright compared to the tree, which you might not be able to see on this camera, but is quite a bit darker. I've already composed the shot, so I'm kind of set up for what I want to do, but I think it's providing one of the best examples of what a circular polarizer can do for you. So if I just turn the video on and rotate the circular polarizer around to where it's essentially not doing anything, this is the view I get. And then when I spin the polarizer around like that, the reflection off the top of that pond just absolutely disappears. As you can see, that green just completely comes back and suddenly looks beautiful and has that fantasy feel that I'm getting with my own eyes. But immediately when you look at it on the camera, you don't get that. You just get all that bright reflection. It's taking a lot of the reflection and sheen off the reeds and the grasses where the light's reflecting off the water that's landed on them. So I think just a really good example of that. What I've also decided to do is turn the image or crop the image down to a 16:9, because as we go up, we start to see the sky, and I don't particularly want to see the sky because it detracts from that kind of feeling I'm getting of being kind of enclosed in the wood, and that's what I want to kind of put into this image. So by cropping down, making sure the camera's almost flat and up quite high, it's letting me trim the sky off. And I've got it up, I've got the camera up this high because if I go any lower, I start to lose a bit of the pond. So from sort of my head height, as we go and move our perspective downwards, that pond becomes smaller and we start to lose it. In post-production, I'm probably going to have to darken off the pond a little bit maybe, because I don't want to detract all attention away from the tree, because brighter parts of the image draw our attention. But it might end up that what I try to do is lead your attention from the right-hand side through these reeds around, and it just gives you that really nice bit of depth as well, which I think is particularly important in woodland photography. So around half a second, let's have a look at the settings so I can tell you exactly what we've got. So F11 to get everything in focus, ISO 100, 3/4 of a second essentially. I'm lucky because it was forecast to be very, very windy today, but as I've got here, it's not windy at all. So shooting at that longer shutter speed is working because there's absolutely no movement in the leaves. Let's have a look at that and see what I've captured. Yeah, just I think that's worked really well. I love the sort of highlights of the reeds around the pond as well. That kind of help guide you around and give it that depth. So yeah, there's something completely unexpected for the very first image of the day. I'm pretty happy. Some of this wood that I'm in is really, really thick, and it's getting really dark in this bit. If you look kind of back down the path to that light there, it is really bright out there and really dark in here, and it's still probably about 18 degrees C today. So it's actually still quite warm, but it's very wet. So you don't really know whether to wear your rainproof jacket or not, because all I end up doing is it gets just as wet inside of it as it does outside. So it's one of those uncomfortably humid days, but I'm absolutely loving these conditions as I emerge back out into the light. And there's some absolutely stunning trees around. Being in the woods just makes you feel good, doesn't it? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's kind of intrinsic to our nature. We're apes, aren't we? And we like the sort of safety of the woods from predators in the past. I don't know. For me, that's partly what allows me to enjoy it. It just feels natural being in the woods. Photographing them, though, on the other hand, is absolutely not natural. It takes a lot of hard work, exploring, and then that kind of fine ability and talent to be able to deal with the forms and make something special in your frame. So I think that's the challenge. I went on a podcast the other day, and one of the questions I got asked was, what did I think was the key to my success? Now, I think that comes from various things, but one of them most definitely, in terms of doing landscape photography vlogs, is the privilege of living in northern England and having access to so many beautiful places. But today, in kind of the most generalised way that people think about England and Britain generally, when you are just going for a normal walk through the countryside, you can quite easily stumble across a castle. It's absolutely in the middle of nowhere on this hill. You can't drive up to it, so yeah, there you go. A castle. Absolutely fantastic though. I'm not going to talk through taking a picture of the castle because I'm not really into that kind of photography. Although I did capture this image just handheld. What on earth was that? Wow, look at that. I think it's like a little mouse or a shrew or something. I don't know if you could hear that kind of squeaking then. Maybe I was stood near its babies or something. I don't know. But this is the image of the castle I've captured. But that's actually kind of the central portion of the castle. Whereas if I kind of show you where I'm stood, this is the castle wall, which I'm stood on now, which is giving us that view behind me. Now, I have the camera set up on the tripod, and what I'm going to attempt is just making a kind of quite flat image that is all about the textures and the colours and the forms of the trees behind me, because we've got some really, really beautiful early autumn colour, and it's just too good to not take a picture, although I can't find an obvious composition. So all I've done is zoom in on some of my favourite looking trees that create kind of complementary forms with the maximum amount of colour. So I'm just at f8 because it's all in the distance. I've upped to ISO 400 so I can have a shutter speed of 1/25. And then just a 2-second timer and blast away. Yeah, have a look and see what you think. What a fabulous location though. Absolutely, absolutely stunning. Right, it's got to that point in the day now where I just need to make a decision, and I'm determined to get something for the end of the day. But before we move on to that, as you know, this video is sponsored by Lexar. Now, in my opinion, Lexar make the best memory cards for all your photography needs because they are high quality, they are fast, and they are reliable. And I've been using them for many, many years, and they've literally never failed me once. And I've put them through everything from the top of a snowy mountain to drowning it in a Welsh lake, and I just think they're brilliant, and I rely on them for this footage, for the photographs, pretty much for everything I create. They come in a variety of speeds and sizes and pretty much will suit your needs, whatever you shoot. From something like this, the CF Express card for the Canon R5, or this one, the Lexar Professional 1800X, which is just the sort of card that will do it all, whatever the circumstances. So go to the link down below and give Lexar some love for sponsoring this channel and pick yourself up a great memory card. Right, I think I'm going to move on, and I might have a little something up my sleeve to finish the day off. Right, so we have made it to sunset, and the thing I love about Yorkshire, and particularly North Yorkshire and North York moors, is that it's got such a wide variety of landscapes. Today, everything you've seen, I have achieved by being on foot, from those beautiful woods earlier to this stunning beach for the end of today. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I've been getting frustrated recently, and I've been putting far too much pressure on myself to always go out and get good photos. So having this as that little secret weapon for the end of the day was a good thing, because I know I'm going to get some kind of shot here that I'm going to be happy with, because I think you always can at the coast. It doesn't have to be complicated. And this image that I'm about to take is so far away from being complicated, it's unreal. It embodies simplicity completely. There's some cloud on the horizon at the moment that's picking up the last of that warm light that's coming from behind us there, and some of that's reflecting off the surface of the water as well. But the waves come in and then roll out, and I'm using a long exposure. So I've got the 6-stop filter in the front there, along with a gradient filter. I've started carrying the gradient filters with me more recently, and I'm quite enjoying using them. And for this, a gradient is perfect because you want to darken the sky off and a little bit of the water that's very bright as well, and then that eases off as we get closer to the camera. So those clouds are looking stunning. There's also some very interesting light starting to come from over there, so I might get some pinks once the sun has dipped down behind the horizon. But I mean, just look at this. It just feels so good. Such a nice way to end that day, and such a contrast from that wet woodland that I had earlier, and it's very, very satisfying. So let's fire off this image at f8, 2.5 seconds exposure, because I want to get some of the detail of the water in there, but it's still going to be beautifully smooth. The clouds are still going to be nice and sharp because it's further away. And it's ISO 200 just to bring that shutter speed down a little bit. And that's it. Let's take a little look at that. Ooh, that is just beautiful. It's the colour that kind of gets you. It's the beautiful contrast between that pale blue that I love so much, and then the yellow and warmth and colour in the sky. Very smooth, very ethereal. I absolutely love that. It's so simple though, but it's just, yeah, a great end to this day. And I'm planning over the autumn and winter, and you can hold me to account if you want, I'm planning to be prolific. Not in terms of getting great shots, because that's not what it's going to be about, but prolific in getting out and making photographs and talking to you on these videos. So make sure you are subscribed, like this video, and yeah, I will see you on another one very, very soon.